when it is disturbing news and it requires our attention. Barely 8 months after the devastating AI-171 crash, you remember that horrible crash on the right of your screens which broke all our hearts, which claimed 260 lives, the fuel switch defect which cut off the fuel supply to the engines, eventually leading to the crash, is back in focus. Yes, viewers. Another Air India flight. The aircraft in question, the same Boeing 787 aircraft as AI-171, same make, same model. However, this time around, the possible defect was identified pre-flight, resulting in the grounding of the aircraft. Remember, after the devastating crash, viewers, mandatory protocols have been instituted to check. And in that check, this has come out. Reports indicate that the incident occurred on Monday during Air India flight AI-132 from London to Heathrow to Bengaluru. The pilot reported abnormal behavior of the left engine fuel control switch, which kept moving towards the cutoff from the run mode. A malfunction which could cut supply to the fuel supply to the engine, shutting them down and resulting in a similar tragedy like the AI-171 tragedy which happened, viewers, on that 787 Dreamliner. That flight was, of course, going from Ahmedabad to London, and it resulted in that massive accident because the fuel switch just went off and the zero fuel went to the engines lost power, and that was the end of it. Now, viewers, the Air India Boeing 787 Dreamliner grounded after the left fuel control switch failed to stay in the run mode. The affected flight was A132, scheduled to operate from London Heathrow to Bengaluru. And I just want to open this up because we need to take this conversation forward, because this has just come out. And I want to speak to some of our guests today and get really a sense of whether this actually is the underlying problem. And we have seen a great hurry, viewers, to blame the pilot in the last crash. Same defect, viewers, same defect. Captain Amit Singh is here, founder Safety Matters Foundation. Captain Amit Singh, what are we seeing here? This is, they always say that a coincidence is, there's a lot more to when a coincidence happens.
Well, this was least probable as per Boeing, and Air India never considered this as a serious thing or even bothered to inform the pilots that this is a possibility, a rare possibility. So the pilots never knew what to do. They didn't have a SOP, they didn't have a abnormal procedure.
No, on what basis are you saying that this was known to happen, Captain Amit Singh?
Well, in 2018, FAA issued a safety information bulletin that on the 737s, some have been reported, and 787 is also one of the affected fleet, since it is using the same Honeywell fuel control switches. So in case anybody reports, then it should be replaced at the earliest. But Boeing or FAA does not decide Air India's safety, or DGCA has to decide the safety standards, because DGCA, the buck stops at DGCA. Now, is this acceptable to us that we continue a flight with a fuel control switch which could flip at any moment? So no, this is not acceptable, even though it is improbable, but the consequences are catastrophic.
Yeah.
As per safety management system, this is a serious issue and it has to be dealt with. And more so because checks have been done on all the aircrafts. Who has done the checks? Air India, based on information from Boeing. Boeing has told them, carry out these checks. So ultimately we go back to Boeing and come back. So Boeing is leading everything. We are just following.
So let me ask Parvez Damania. Parvez Damania, the clean chit to Boeing, was it too premature in the light of what we are seeing? And also, of course, to Air India. Remember, there is an insinuation which is being made that it's the pilot that is to blame for the crash that happened in Ahmedabad. Now, here is something that is eerily similar, thankfully caught in time, Are we just supposed to let the closed file be a closed file, or should we open it?
No, we should not let this file be closed. And when the Air India 171 crash occurred, I kept saying that one of the things that should be investigated very thoroughly is the switch and the Honeywell, because nobody was talking of the role of Honeywell in the crash. And now that this problem has occurred, I just want to bring your attention to something interesting about this problem. This problem occurred at Heathrow. In spite of the problem occurring at Heathrow, Captain Amit Singh may agree with me, the pilot, realizing that this is a very serious problem, should have immediately reported the snag and decided and could have grounded the aircraft or told the engineering team to fix it before it took off. The pilot took off the aircraft, and only when it landed in Bangalore, he reported the snag. I think that is a very serious situation. The pilot, knowing how serious this problem is and what has happened in the Ahmedabad crash. See, the Ahmedabad crash, if you read the preliminary report, it has cleared all aspects, the Boeing, the engine, the maintenance of the aircraft, except the pilot. It leaves a very grey area of the condition of the pilot and is the pilot at fault or not. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you are, I'm sure you're aware of this, that recently people who were working in Air India were related to the pilot were called for investigation. People who had nothing to do with that flight. So I think Air India and Boeing were trying to build up a case that somewhere in the Ahmedabad crash, the pilot was responsible. Now, with this new situation arising at Heathrow, it is very clear that one must look at the problem of this switch, fuel control switch, going off should be investigated.
We need answers.
Thoroughly.
We need answers. I don't know if it's any more, I mean, if we can trust DGCA, KVJ Rao, or we actually should now be cornering the Civil Aviation Ministry as such. If this is what the incipient problem with Boeing, then this needs to be taken up at an intergovernmental level, or definitely at the central government level.
Rahul, good evening. As you said, should we trust the DGCA? I think now before every flight takes out, we should look at the Muhurat and contact an astrologer. That is the state of affairs as far as DGCA is concerned. This switch that we are talking of, even when we spoke on the Ahmedabad crash, there were notifications given by FAA that have a look at that switch. At that time, DGCA took it very casually. They said it is not mandatory. If you remember, we discussed this at length when in the Air India crash. You see, if the switches, if that problem has recurred again, then that is the perennial problem. That is the root cause of most of the issues that might be happening on the 787s. So you need to look into it very thoroughly. In fact, I think we should start rostering these aircrafts only after the switches have been checked thoroughly.
I just want to ask you a question, because I get the sense that the 787 forms the backbone of Air India's fleet, and if you ground it, that's the end of the business. So someone is putting business above passenger safety. Am I right to presume this, or is this a silly argument to make?
No. As far as
it's not a silly argument at all.
Yeah. It's not a silly argument, Parvez Damania. Why? Please tell me why.
No, it's not a silly argument, because safety is priority number one. We cannot compromise with the life and safety of the passengers. I mean, look at the Air India crash. It was terrible. It was shocking. It sent ripples all over the world.
Okay, so let me ask. I mean, what are the numbers here? 787s, how much of the Air India fleet? I'm told that the numbers are coming down. 787-8s. Tell me.
They're coming down because they're ordering the new models that are coming out. But Rahul, when I say ground the aircraft, I didn't say ground altogether at the same time. Have a timetable. This is exactly where, I'm going off track a little bit, where Indigo failed. Had they kept track of their crew and flown those aircraft, maybe we wouldn't have that fiasco. See, what basically we lack is planning. Nobody's bothered about tomorrow.
Okay.
If the flight takes off today, I'm happy. Tomorrow is another day.
Are
that is the
games,
attitude.
viewers, on this last 20 seconds, are games being played to keep some people happy at the expense of passengers' safety? I'm leaving that question open. I don't have a definitive answer. But we are going to be following up on this story, viewers. It's a very serious incident that has taken place with massive repercussions. I leave it to that. Thank you for watching.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Your ninth consecutive budget. No other